Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are tackling a subject that I think haunts, well, pretty much every language learner, and honestly, even native speakers in high-pressure situations.
Oh, absolutely.
You know that specific nightmare, the one where you're in a high-stakes meeting, or maybe you're sitting across from an examiner in a test like the IELTS,
Yeah.
and you know what you want to say?
Uh.
You have this complex, sophisticated, beautiful thought in your head, but when you open your mouth, your brain just hands you a ham sandwich of a sentence.
The ham sandwich sentence. I like that image. It fills the stomach, sure, it gets the job done.
It gets the job done.
But it is not exactly a Michelin star meal.
Not at all. You want to sound like an executive or, a professor, but you end up saying, I think the government should do something to help the problem.
Oof. Yeah.
And you just watch the listener's eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
You can feel the opportunity just slipping away.
It is a universal frustration. It really is. It's that gap between your passive vocabulary, all those words you recognize when you read an article, and your active vocabulary.
The ones you can actually use.
So the words you can actually summon under pressure. And in the context of something like the IELTS speaking test, that gap is often the difference between a good score, say a band 6, and an excellent score, which is that coveted band 7, 8, or even 9.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're looking at a stack of research and testing criteria that poses this really tantalizing question. Can you hack that gap? Specifically, can you actually improve your IELTS speaking score by mastering a hit list of just 20 specific advanced verbs?
Hack might be a strong word, but the premise is absolutely solid. I mean, when we look at the IELTS assessment criteria, specifically for Lexical Resource, the examiners are hunting for something very specific. They aren't just counting how many words you know. They're looking for precision. They're looking for style. They want to see if you can wield language like a surgical tool, or if you are just bludgeoning the listener with basic concepts.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We aren't just going to read a dictionary. I mean, that would be incredibly boring.
Yeah, let's not do that.
We're going to upgrade your lexical resource. We're going to take these 20 verbs, which we've pulled from the source material, and not just define them, but basically install them into your operating system.
I love that. We are upgrading the software.
We want to help everyone listening sound more confident, more sophisticated, and way more precise. But before we get to the solution, we have to look at the problem, the trap, the basic verb trap.
The source material calls it the basic verb trap. And I have to admit, I feel like I live in this trap sometimes.
I think most people do. The trap is comfort. When your brain is under cognitive load, like when you're nervous in an exam or a job interview, it defaults to the path of least resistance.
Of course.
It reaches for the words that are etched deepest in your neural pathways. It's just survival mode.
And the source lists some very specific enemy words, the words we need to stop relying on. And they are the words we use every single day. Say go and do.
And we should be clear here, these words aren't wrong.
No, they are perfectly good English words. They are perfectly functional English. If you say, I go to the library, everyone knows exactly what you mean. It's grammatically correct. But in a testing environment or a high-level professional environment, functional just isn't enough.
It's not going to impress anyone.
Not at all. These words fail to stand out. They are, for all intents and purposes, invisible to an examiner. They carry the grammar, but they don't carry any flavor or nuance.
Invisible. That's a scary thought. You're talking, and the examiner is just, physically hearing you, but mentally they've checked out.
Essentially, yes. If you rely on do, say, and go, you are limiting your ability to show nuance. It's like you're wearing a gray t-shirt to a black tie event.
Chuckles. Yeah, you're clothed, but you are seriously underdressed.
Exactly. The shift we are trying to make today, based on this list, is all about moving from these vague descriptions to really precise actions.
Okay, so let's look at the illustrative example from the source, because I think this sets the stage perfectly for the harder words coming up.
Good idea.
The source compares two sentences. The first is, I'm going to the store.
Yeah.
Standard. Boring.
Fine. Gets the message across.
And the upgrade.
Let me guess.
I'm heading to the store.
Right. Now, pause there. Heading isn't a $10 word. It's not incredibly obscure or anything.
Not at all.
But just notice the shift in flavor. Going is just movement. It's binary. You are either staying or going. But heading implies direction. It implies purpose. It implies a trajectory. I am heading to the store. It just sounds more dynamic.
It sounds like you have a mission, like you're on your way.
Exactly. And if that tiny, tiny shift from go to head demonstrates a basic level of improvement, imagine what happens when we start using the heavy artillery.
Words like elucidate or mitigate.
Now you're talking.
Well, let's stop imagining and start doing. Or should I say, start implementing.
Huh. I see what you did there. You are already learning.
So we're going to break these 20 verbs down into a few categories to make them stick. The first category the source gives us is saying and thinking. These are the verbs for communication and clarity.
And this is so crucial for the IELTS because a huge chunk of the speaking test, especially part 3, is just you explaining your opinion on abstract topics. You are constantly saying things or thinking things.
The first one on the list is a real heavyweight, elucidate.
Elucidate. It is a beautiful word to say, isn't it? It just rolls off the tongue.
It really does. So the definition: to explain or make something clear.
Right. But let's dig into the context here because this is where people go wrong. You don't elucidate how to tie your shoes.
Let me elucidate this, not for you. Yeah, no.
It sounds ridiculous. It's too heavy for that context. You have to look at the root of the word. Lucid, lux. It means light. So when you elucidate something, you are shedding light on it.
So you don't need to shed light on something that is already visible, like a sandwich.
Exactly.
Use elucidate when something is dark or murky or complex.
Precisely. You elucidate theories. You elucidate concepts. You elucidate a confusing geopolitical situation. The source makes a really good point that this is best used when providing more information about a complex topic. It signals to the examiner that you are capable of handling dense material.
The source example is: the professor elucidated the concept of climate change by providing concrete examples.
See the context, professor, climate change, concepts. Elucidate belongs in that academic or formal register. So if you are asked a question about a difficult subject, maybe technology or education or the environment, and you say, I'd like to elucidate this point.
You immediately sound smarter. You sound like the professor, not the student.
You signal that you are about to break down a difficult idea. You are acting as a guide. Let me turn the light on for you. It establishes a certain authority.
I love that, shedding light.
Yeah.
Okay, next up in the communication toolkit is articulate.
Ah, a favorite of mine. This is all about the quality of the expression.
Definition: to express or communicate an idea clearly. So how is this different from elucidate? They sound similar.
They do, but there's a key difference. Elucidate is about the topic. You're making the topic clear. Articulate is about the speaker. It's about the craft of your speech. Think about an articulated skeleton or an articulated bus. What does that mean?
It means it has joints. It moves smoothly. It bends where it's supposed to bend. It's connected.
Exactly. It has structure. It is connected. So when you articulate an idea, you aren't just vomiting words out. You are putting them together in a structured, flexible, coherent way. You are shaping the thought.
The source example gives us: she articulated her thoughts on the topic of immigration.
And immigration is a complex, often heated, really messy topic. To articulate your thoughts on it means you didn't just ramble. You navigated that mess. You put your thoughts in order. You made them understandable for someone else.
So if an examiner asks you about your hobbies, you probably wouldn't say you want to articulate your love for video games.
Well, you actually could if you're explaining why you love them in a deep philosophical way.
Okay.
You could say, let me try to articulate why I believe narrative structure in gaming is the future of storytelling. That absolutely works. But generally, yes, it's best for expressing complex ideas or opinions. It tells the listener, I have thought about this, and here is my clear, well-structured output.
It's also a huge compliment, right? To say, wow, he is very articulate.
It is one of the highest compliments you can give a speaker. So using the verb about yourself is a subtle power move. I'd like to try to articulate my position on this. It shows a lot of confidence.
Okay. Now, the source group's a couple others in this communication bucket. We have elaborate and formulate.
Two very, very functional tools. These are your lifesavers in an exam.
Elaborate is one I use when I'm trying to buy time, honestly.
Laughs. It's a strategic verb, but it's so much better than the weak phrase, talk more about. Instead of saying, let me talk more about that, or just staring blankly at the examiner while you think.
Which is the worst feeling.
Awful. You just say, certainly, let me elaborate on that point.
It sounds so much more professional, sounds intentional, not like you're stalling for time.
Precisely. And formulate.
Formulate replaces make up or come up with.
But look at the nuance again. You make up a lie. You come up with a guess on the spot. But you formulate a plan. You formulate a strategy. You formulate a theory. It implies a process. It implies a kind of chemistry. You're mixing ingredients to create something solid and well thought out.
So if I'm in the test and I need a second to think, I could actually say, that's an interesting question. I'm just trying to formulate my answer.
That is a Band 7 sentence right there. You are narrating your own thinking process using high-level vocabulary. You are turning a potential weakness, a pause, into a strength, a demonstration of your lexical resource.
Okay, so that's communication. We're elucidating and articulating all over the place. But what if we need to win an argument? Or at least sound like we can?
Persuasion. The argument and support verbs. This is my favorite category.
The source calls these the verbs you use when you have an opinion and you want to back it up with some force.
Which happens in part 3 of the IELTS speaking test all the time. They will ask you, do you agree that? Or, what is your opinion on?
The first word here is underscore.
I love this word because it is so visual. It really is.
Definition. To emphasize or highlight.
But think about the physical act. You are reading a text, you see something vital, what do? You take a pen and you draw a line under it. You underscore it. You're creating a foundation for that word.
The source example is, the data underscores the importance of reducing carbon emissions.
And this is the perfect context. When you are discussing facts, statistics, or strong opinions, it adds weight. If you say, this shows it is important, that's fine. It's band 6. Shows is passive. It's just sitting there on the page.
Right.
But if you say, this underscores the importance, you are actively telling the examiner, pay attention. This is the bottom line. This is the crucial part.
It feels stronger than just saying highlight, doesn't it?
It does. Highlight is a bit flashy. It's like a neon marker pen. Underscore feels more serious, more foundational. It's like you are carving it into the table.
Okay, speaking of foundations and support, the next verb is bolster.
Bolster. B-O-L-S-T-E-R. Great word.
The definition is to support or strengthen.
But not just support in a vague sense, like I support my friend emotionally. This is structural. A bolster is a type of thick pillow, or in architecture, it's a structural element that holds up a wall. It props things up.
So the source example is, the company bolstered its marketing efforts to increase sales.
This is the ideal usage. You use it for discussing strategies, defenses, or improvement measures. You don't just help the marketing. You bolster it. You prop it up. You make it stronger against failure.
So in a test context, if you're asked about education, how would you use it?
You could say, the government needs to bolster the school budget. Or reading every day bolsters your vocabulary. It implies the system or the thing is already there. It just needs to be made stronger.
That's a nice callback. So don't just say help, say bolster. That's the takeaway.
It is a total power verb. It implies active strengthening against some kind of pressure.
The source lists 2 more in this persuasion category that are really powerful. Advocate and substantiate.
Oh, these are your lawyer verbs. This is where you put on your courtroom robes.
Right. Advocate is about support, but it's so active.
To advocate is to publicly speak in favor of something. You don't just like a policy. You don't just agree with it. You advocate for it. It shows you have a strong stance. It shows you are willing to stand up for it. I advocate for stricter environmental laws.
It's much stronger than, I think we should have stricter laws.
Worlds stronger. And then you have its partner, substantiate. That one sounds heavy.
It does.
It is heavy. It comes from the word substance. To substantiate a claim means to give it substance, to give it body. In other words, to prove it with evidence.
So if I make a claim, the examiner's next logical thought is, okay, why do you think that?
Exactly. And you can reply, well, to substantiate that view, we can look at the recent statistics. Or I can substantiate my opinion with a personal example from my own experience.
Oh, that is so smooth.
It creates a logical bridge in your argument. Advocate is the opinion. Substantiate is the proof that follows.
So if I say, I advocate for better public transport, I then need to substantiate that with reasons like traffic reduction or lower pollution.
Exactly. And if you use those two together, I advocate for X and I can substantiate that with Y and Z. That is a lexical 1-2 punch. You are demonstrating a very high level of discourse management. You're structuring your argument like a formal essay, but you're speaking it.
Okay, moving on. We've talked the talk with communication verbs. We've argued our case with persuasion verbs. Now we need to actually do things. This is the action and impact category, solving problems and changing things.
And this is where we finally replace the verb do. And honestly, if you take nothing else from this deep dive today, listen to this section, because do is the ultimate lazy verb.
The first one is a superstar in both the corporate world and the academic world. Mitigate.
If you learn one word from this deep dive, make it mitigate. It is the executive verb. It's the CEO of verbs.
Jackals. the CEO of verbs. I like that. So definition, to make something less severe or unpleasant.
And notice the nuance there. It does not mean fix. It does not mean solve. It absolutely does not mean eliminate.
Okay, the source example helps here. The government implemented policies to mitigate the effects of the economic crisis.
An economic crisis is huge. It's a massive, complex problem. You can't just fix it with a snap of your fingers. You can only reduce the harm. You mitigate the damage. You cushion the blow for people.
So why does this impress an examiner so much?
Because it shows a sophisticated, realistic understanding of the world. Children think in binaries, good or bad, fix or broken. We need to stop pollution. We need to end poverty.
Right, very simplistic.
But as you get older, and certainly in academic discussions, you realize that you can't always fix these massive things. You can often only manage them. A Band 7 speaker acknowledges that problems are complex, and solutions are often about harm reduction.
It's the adult in the room verb.
And it really is. It's the absolute go-to verb when discussing solutions to environmental, economic, or social problems. We need to mitigate the risk. We need to mitigate traffic congestion.
Next up, facilitate.
To make something easier or more efficient.
The source example. The new software facilitated communication between team members.
Think of it like putting oil in a machine. Facilitate is the oil. You use this when discussing improvements, technology, or processes. The internet facilitates learning. Good highways facilitate transport.
So it sounds like you are greasing the wheels.
Yes. You aren't doing the work itself. You are making the work flow more smoothly. It also removes the person from the sentence and focuses on the system, which is a very academic way of speaking.
Now, here is a word I love because it sounds like it's from a science fiction movie. Catalyze.
A fantastic word.
Definition, to speed up or trigger a reaction.
So this comes straight from chemistry, right? A catalyst is a substance that makes a chemical reaction happen faster or makes it happen at all without being consumed by it.
And the source example is, the discovery catalyzed a new wave of research in the field.
In conversation, you use this when talking about change, progress, or cause and effect scenarios. The protest movement catalyzed a change in the law. The invention of the printing press catalyzed the spread of information.
It sounds so much more impressive than started. The internet started globalization. Meh.
Yeah, that's flat.
The internet catalyzed globalization. Whoa.
It implies a spark, an explosive start. It implies energy. It suggests that once it started, it couldn't be stopped. It took on a life of its own.
The source also lists implement, allocate, and address in this section.
The bureaucratic trio. These are the verbs of government and management, essential for IELTS topics.
Implement. To put into effect, you don't do a plan, you implement it.
Right. The government needs to implement the new strategy.
Allocate. To distribute resources. You don't give money to a project, you allocate funding.
Crucial for questions about money, time, or government spending. We need to allocate more time to studying these verbs.
Very good. And address. To deal with a problem, you don't just look at the issue, you address the issue.
And here's the secret sauce. The expert synthesis in our notes points out that these verbs often work together in solution sentences. They are like Lego bricks. They snap together perfectly.
Okay, give me an example. Build me something.
The City Council needs to allocate resources to implement a new plan that addresses the problem of homelessness.
You sound like a politician. A very competent politician.
In the IELTS, sounding like a capable, articulate politician is a very good thing. You can chain them together to sound incredibly professional and on top of the topic.
We are building quite a toolkit here. We have one last category, the analysis verbs, for critical thinking.
This is for when you are digging deep into a topic. I like to call them the scientist verbs.
First up, dissect.
To break down a topic deeply, just like a frog in biology class. Let's dissect this argument. It means we're going to cut it open and look at the guts of it.
Chuckles. That's a great image.
We aren't just looking at it. We are analyzing the internal components to see how it works.
Next, expedite.
Speeding up a process.
How is this different from catalyze? That also means speed up, right?
It's a great question. They're related but different. Catalyze triggers the start. It's the spark. Expedite makes an existing process go faster. You expedite a package that's already in the shipping system. You expedite a visa application that's stuck in a pile of paperwork. You are pushing it through the system faster.
Got it. Catalyst starts the fire. Expediting is pouring gas on it, or maybe just clearing the traffic jam ahead of it.
Let's stick with clearing the traffic jam. That's a much safer metaphor.
Good point. And now we're going to do a rapid fire of the remaining verbs to ensure we hit the 20 verbs promise from our source. Demonstrate.
To show clearly. The evidence demonstrates the truth.
Transform.
To change completely. It's much stronger than just change. A caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. The internet transforms society. To improve the quality of something. Better than just make better. You enhance a photo. You enhance your skills.
And finally, the villain of the list. Exacerbate.
Ooh, the evil twin of mitigate. It means to make a bad situation even worse.
So pollution exacerbates health problems like asthma.
Exactly. Or lack of sleep exacerbates stress.
Why do we need this one? Why not just stay positive with all our other fancy verbs?
Because you can't be a deliriously happy optimist all the time in the IELTS. You need to be able to describe negative trends with sophistication. If you say, the bad traffic makes the pollution worse, that's band 6. If you say, traffic congestion exacerbates air quality issues, that provides a full range of expression. You need the positive, enhance, facilitate, and the negative, exacerbate, to show your full command of the language.
Okay, we have covered the list, we have the vocabulary, we have all the raw materials in the garage, but knowing the words isn't enough.
Not even close.
We need to build a house. This is the application phase, the showdown. Band 6 versus Band 7.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
So the source sets up a before and after scenario. Let's look at the Band 6 sentence first. This is the before. Are you ready?
I'm bracing myself.
The government should do something to fix the pollution problem.
Groans. It hurts my soul a little bit. It is grammatically correct, I'll give it that. But it is empty. It's an empty vessel.
Do what? Something. What? Fix how?
It conveys frustration, perhaps, but zero precision. It's a complaint, not an analysis.
Now let's look at the Band 7 Plus version, the after. We are going to apply our list.
Okay, let's do it.
The government should implement policies to mitigate pollution and allocate funding to green initiatives. I added a little bit at the end there.
Wow. Okay. That is music to my ears. That is a different human being speaking.
It's the same basic sentiment, right? The speaker wants government action on pollution, but let's break down the density of that vocabulary.
Okay, so instead of the empty word do, we have implement policies. That is a specific action. Instead of the vague something or fix, we have mitigate pollution. That is a specific, realistic, goal-reducing harm.
And then the extra step.
And then we add allocate funding. That's the specific method. How are they going to do it? With money.
3 of our target verbs: implement, mitigate, allocate in a single coherent thought.
And that density is what signals high proficiency to an examiner. It's not just about knowing the word mitigate in isolation. It's about chaining it with implement and allocate to form a complex, sophisticated thought structure.
It just sounds authoritative.
It commands respect. The Band 6 speaker sounds like a person complaining on a street corner. The Band 7 speaker sounds like a policy advisor or a consultant giving a recommendation.
And that's the lexical resource score right there. That's the difference.
That is exactly it. It is all about range and precision.
So let's unpack this for you, the listener. We've thrown a lot of words at you today: elucidate, mitigate, bolster, catalyze. What does this all mean for someone listening right now? What is the core takeaway?
It means you have a choice. You can survive with, say, go and do. You will be understood. But if you want to thrive, if you want that high score or that promotion or that professional respect, you need to precision engineer your speech.
Precision leads to higher scores.
And it leads to confidence. This is the hidden benefit we haven't talked about much. When you know you have the word articulate in your back pocket or the word substantiate ready to go, you feel less afraid of the difficult questions.
That's a great point.
You know you have the firepower to handle them.
But, and this is big, but you can't just memorize the dictionary definition and start throwing these words around.
No. That is the danger zone. That's how you end up elucidating a sandwich. Context is key. You don't mitigate your coffee being cold. You don't elucidate what time it is. You have to learn the partnerships these words have. You have to learn their collocations.
So here is our call to action for you. Passive listening isn't enough. It won't change your brain wiring.
You absolutely need to practice. You need to get these words from your passive memory into your active, ready-to-use memory.
So we want you to pick a favorite verb from today's list. Just one. Maybe it's bolster because you feel like you need support. Maybe it's catalyze because you like that spark.
I'm sticking with exacerbate. I just like the drama of it.
Of course you do. Pick one verb and use it in a sentence today, not in a test. In real life, text it to a friend. Use it in an email. Talk to your cat about it.
I need another cup of coffee to bolster my energy levels. Perfect.
Mr. Whiskers, your constant meowing is exacerbating my headache.
Perfect. Once you use it in a real context, you own it. It becomes yours.
And if you want to keep bolstering your preparation, make sure you are engaging with these sources and practicing regularly.
Absolutely. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I'm sure it was bolstered by some very good engineering.
Look at you go. Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We've talked about how these words change your score. But if you can change how you speak about simple things, does it change how you think about them?
That is a very interesting question.
If you start using catalyze instead of start, do you actually begin to see the world more in terms of reactions and energy? If you use mitigate instead of fix, do you become more realistic and nuanced about solutions?
It's the old Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, isn't it? Language shapes thought. If you force yourself to articulate your ideas with more precision, maybe the ideas themselves actually become clearer and better.
Exactly. Changing your vocabulary might just change your mindset as well as your score. Something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Go forth and elucidate.
We'll see you next time. Use those verbs.